Hi, Oksana.
Okay. Hi, Ephesian. We finally got together. People were asking in comments, and I know quite a few people wait for us to meet every week. Um, Today, we're gonna make a few videos, right? The first video I wanted to share something that we discovered. So basically, me and my friend Telepath from Ukraine, from
Mm-hmm.
Dnipro, we looked into this movie that came out. It was made by Donetsk Film Studio, which is Donetsk was annexed and made into Russian Republic. Um, so it's only 10 minutes. You can watch it, but I'll tell you what the characters in this 10-minute movie say so you can understand. It's about the traps of the matrix as we saw in our session that we did together. But we did it, I wanted to convey to the English speaking audience too.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is called AVE, like Eva or Eva from, but the opposite way,
Reverse.
Ave. But if
Mm-hmm.
you read Ave the opposite way, it'll be like
Ave Maria.
Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear why, you'll understand. Because at the end of the movie, they give you a hint. And the second name is concept or intention. So it's all in black and white, like most of our dreams are, because for color dreams, they need more energy. They don't want to lose too much energy because, as you know, dreams are created artificially.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy shows up with the beard and goes into the house is ruined. There's rubble, everything's broken bricks, which is kind of interesting because it came out on October 9th, 2022, right before the war started. I mean, a couple
Mm-hmm.
months. Um, and he goes into the house and sees the first room. There is a bed with the bed rest used as a screen, which I've seen in a lot of sessions how they do it. And on the screen, you see a boy. He very much looks like he's a hybrid with the gray because you look at his nose and look
Mm-hmm.
at the features of his face and his leprechaun ears sticking out.
Was a bit spooky,
It is
very
it's really
dark and quite.
spooky play. It makes you think,
Mm-hmm.
what is this reality really, and what is this about? Because it reminds you of one of your dreams when they try to scare you.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Sleep. You're tired. You want to rest." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not going to this room." So he goes to the other room because he starts hearing a voice. I think it's one of the people he knew in the life, in the physical life. There's a guy sitting with his back at him in the big armchair, and in front of him there is a big table with all kinds of foods on it. And this guy says, like, why is that this life is so unfair? Because some people have everything and even more than they need. They don't even know what to do with everything they have. And others suffer from hunger. I've been suffering from hunger of all my life. But now I have everything. And this guy looking at him and he's like, "No, I'm not going to this room." You can just read it on his face now. And as he starts walking away from this room, um, this guy on the armchair, he goes, "Stop! Where you going? I'm so lonely here. I can't get out from this stupid chair." So he's kind of like stuck in this room with all this food that he always wanted in the physical life. He finally got what he wanted, but he cannot escape. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
trap.
A temptation.
Yeah, yeah. And then the third room, there's a prostitute dancing there, and the music turns on, and she starts showing her body, and he looks at her, and he's just like, "No, I'm not going." She reads his mind about it, and she goes like, "Stay with me," but he chooses to leave. She goes like, "Stay with me." And then he walks in this corridor filled with dust, rubble, bricks, rocks, pebbles, and he finds a piece of paper on the floor in the corridor. He opens it up and he sees the writing Construction Bureau, call phone 12-48-75. If you put together the numbers, it'll be 333. So what we looked in the session with Katya, that 333 or 369, it doesn't matter how you add it. It means I think it came up in one of my sessions because also she confirmed it, that it's like to construct an unphysical world, you need the energy, the configuration of the number 3. Different configurations of this particular number. That's why the church, they use 3, Father, Spirit, and whatever, Holy, whatever. So, and then he sees a guy with a mask of a skeleton. It's kind of like metal leather mask, pretty spooky too. And he narrates a poem that when growing up, we used to, how you count in the game who's gonna come out, who's gonna be the it. And he says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A bunny comes out to play, but the hunter comes out too and shoots the bunny dead. But then the bunny is brought home and he turns out to be alive. And then he laughs. I know by heart this little poem. We used to count like this, who comes out of the circle with kids. All my childhood, in former Soviet Union. And then he shows him the cards. Look at the cards, and actually, I forgot the interpretation because I was entranced too. But you can try to interpret them yourself. And then he throws cards into his face, saying, "You said you know a lot," like saying, "You said before you know a lot, but you don't know anything." And then he tells him to come with him to look at the moon. And the moon looks like made out of metal with, you'll see how, and it opens up like it's composed of 2 parts. And when it opens up, you see a hand throwing out an apple core. And we hear someone like took a bite and throwing it out and chewing the apple. And it's a reference to Adam and Eve story. And also, apple means knowledge, right? Because apple, what do they draw when kids go to school? Apples, right? It's like a symbol of knowledge of school. Here you go. They took all our knowledge by eating the apple that had the knowledge inside.
Also, Platon, Platon, but he was a philosopher of Greek. He cut the apple also, Platon, I think. I say Platon in Italian.
Platon in Russian too, or Ukrainian.
Really?
Yeah, but in English, Plato.
Basically, yes. He is connected. I always felt connected with the twin flames, because when you cut apple in 2, and then you need the other part to be together again. So the dualism to become again one, like the consciousness. Also the twin flame. Twin flame is always finding the other part of the apple to finally to be together again and have the shape of the apple. So twin flames, consciousness, because you are always cut on 2. When you are against somebody, and you think you are good, the other is bad, is the dualisms. But apparently dualism doesn't exist, because we are always the same apple, okay, but just cut in 2.
Yeah, but they artificially split up us up into 2, created the duality world, created good and evil, and we are forced to play this game. The same thing is like in this movie, Traps Afterlife. If you're dreaming about something, really want it, and is angry at the world that you never got what you wanted in this life, then you will get it in afterlife. But the problem is you'll be stuck.
Because you want to find always the other part of the apple. You're looking for the other part of the apple, but because
it's like a hook to the physical.
Yeah, because of people that says no, that apple is no good. You have to think it because you believe that you are in the right part of the apple. But because the matrix wants you to believe that, the matrix wants you to be sleeping, to believe that there is only half. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And also there was like I forgot to mention there's a cross and a rose on the wall there drawn a cross and see how people always say but this or that later it doesn't matter uses the symbology of the devil but think about it um, I think this war was created also for people to understand. Look how they always, before the evil, because we in duality, Russia represents evil. So before they do something like they invented this dirty bomb and now they're scaring the world and now they're scaring with nuclear, the bombs too. So basically, they can't accuse Ukraine of having nuclear bombs simply because we don't have them. But they can accuse us of making a dirty bomb and throwing it at our own territory, which makes no sense. Why would we pollute our own territory? But and they said that the Bucha Ukrainians killed their own people to create Bucha and to accuse Russians, right? Basically, what they do, they accuse others, or what they are going to do, they accuse others. And that's how twisted everything is. All the symbology used at this artificial layer we call Earth is actually the symbols that carry a lot of good energy, originally designed by original souls, true creator beings, but then they took them and they made them theirs. Much like Russians take everything from Kherson, they took all the new buses out, they took all the equipment from hospitals, even from Children's Cancer Hospital. They took all the equipment and brought it, just stole it. They have trucks and trucks filled with. They even stole monuments. I have no idea why you would steal a monument. I guess maybe for metal. But see, that's how you act. You steal from creator beings and turn it into yours. You take a cross and say it's my symbology. It's a Mason symbology now, even though the cross was very ancient. The soul kind of symbology too.
Yeah, because in every war, as you know, they create they want to erase the history, the culture, and to basically implement another culture, another language. This is what they did in every war. Okay, so I think behind Russia is not because it's the evil, is because
they represent. It's a game. I take it. We are in.
They have to. If it was not Russia, it was probably Israel, was Palestine,
no, they would pick a country.
They needed something global to be involved because look, Oksana, first we had the pandemic, okay, the COVID.
People were fighting from those who would put mandates on, and they were fighting with those and demonstrations and protests and all this stuff.
And all together, with this energy to have millions and millions of people connected in the same topic all together at the same time,
exactly.
It creates
you need to do that to get energy out.
Exactly. Now they find finally the attention. Oh, the bad Russia with the bad Putin, and they need the lamb and they need the butcher. And that's what finally, yes, wow. You can see everybody talking about this war. Everybody's afraid. Again, the game of the fear. I mean, Russia means nuclear. Russia means that it can destroy the world. And because the other people, they respond and they will defend, but we can make a big, big mess in the world. It's again another, you know what? I see today, I I just read the papers, and Putin apparently says that he doesn't want to use the nuclear in Ukraine, and he's more open to
Because
talk.
he got scared. Sorry, I interrupted you. Because he
Mhm.
got a call from Pentagon, from Austin Lloyd, and he told him that the consequences will be very. But it's a game. It's a playing back and forth.
Exactly,
Of
exactly.
course.
That's what I was talking about. So there will be probably they're going to find, uh, let's say, a sort of they can find a sort of compromise to make everybody not happy, but
It's not going to be a compromise. I think Ukraine needs its territories back. That started 1991. As a matter of fact, what I see Winnie the Pooh, in coffin soon, and I also see Russians actually having a revolution and splitting up in territories. And some territories will go to China, some territories will go back to Moldova that they took by force, annexed, just like they annexed Ukrainian territory. There's going to be a big split there. And that's because people are waking up thanks to this war. Russians are waking up. I saw a video yesterday when soldiers, the priest was saying, I'm blessing you warriors, and blah, 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 just to go kill Ukrainians. And they say, no, we are meat. We're not warriors. We are meat. They're screaming. We are meat, period. You're forcing us to go. We don't want to go. So see how they're waking up, and see how many are actually calling the hotline of Ukraine and asking them that we want to surrender. There's a few guys already, they showed on Ukrainian TV. It's all on YouTube anyway. How they want to stay in Ukraine because they don't want to come back to Russia because they're facing a prison sentence, because they simply planned an escape, and they did. One guy walked like hundreds of kilometers by foot just to surrender to Ukrainians. He picked, I think it was at night when he just like left the camp where they were all staying before going to being sent off to Ukraine. And they just, that's a personal choice. I always tell people, uh you cannot, because if you say, oh, I'm poor Russian, they're forcing me to do it, you always have a choice. You always do. No matter what country. I've lived, in Ukraine. I lived on 3 months here and there in Italy, but it doesn't mean that, if I had a family, it would be different there. But, and I'm living here in the US, and I always know every single time you make a decision, and that decision will lead you to this timeline or that timeline, it's either, there's two, it's like duality. It's either you're a victim of the system, or you're standing above the system as an observer and saying, hey, I'm smarter than the system. I picked a different way. So there are different ways,
So do you think that this movie basically was like a prophecy?
I think this movie is showing you what happens after life, and it says that if you don't leave dreaming about having enough food, or don't leave dreaming about a big castle, because you will get that castle after your physical body dies, but you'll never get out of that castle. It'll be a trap of your soul, created by your own mind, by your own desire. Pick carefully what you focus on. Some people choose to focus on the war. I'm focusing on the after war the whole time. It doesn't matter that I close my eyes at everything what's going on, because it's important to be well-rounded, read through things, see things, how they do things, because if I know how the dark force, since we're in duality, does things, I can prevent some things in my life done by them, because it's always the opposite. It's very simple. They are AI, they're artificial. They steal an idea from us and twist it. Look how, like, even Ukrainian songs and things like we do. Russians stole it and like used it as theirs ideas. They even say some of the Ukrainian writers like Gogol, oh, he's a Russian or this one's a Russian. By the way, there's an interesting, there's a part two after this movie. We'll talk about it next time. And this boy walking, it's black and white too, and sees a guy, and I think this guy represents Gogol, like our famous writer. And he wrote a lot about my favorite movies. Movies are based on this, all about Ukrainian traditions, all about life of Ukrainians. And he said, well, Russia has two big problems. One problem is roads, another problem is full stupid people. And then he adds, he says it to this boy, boy is like 10 years old, 12. He says, but the third problem is in Russia that the stupid people show the roads to others. See? But if they show you the road, it doesn't mean you have to walk on it. And I actually respect a lot of Russian people who don't walk on those roads and they have their own personal opinion. Well, I think that's just about that. And I think that's this situation is shaking up the world. And who said that? Tolstoy or somebody else? No, it's somebody else. I think it's Kravchuk, the ex-president of Ukraine, said. He was very wise. He said, like, in war, everybody would show their own face. See, that's kind of like the it's a very good thing in a way because you do see who's who. It's like in any tough
they can
situation.
see, and I don't know why when the people justify, a warrior have to behave like that. That is normal, kill, rape, starving people, torture. For me, it's just disgusting. Another thing I understand about the movie that you explained before is that every room has an offer from these entities. I can give you
An
this,
offer.
this, and this. So, guys, this is the matrix, okay?
They seduce you
They're
by
trying
pleasures.
especially when they say you have to choose, you have to decide. No way. I have already here everything. I don't need you. I don't need your crap, your fake jewelry, your fake dreams, your fake matrix, because this is what you want, offer. This is your universe. I got my universe, my consciousness, which again is again the famous apple that comes back to one, because the apple to have, symbolic, obviously, guys, is the consciousness cut in two to understand how this planet in a physical energy, like a body in the organic, to needed to work harder to cut in two. So this consciousness cut in two, the good and the bad, the dualisms needed to understand how we can have the experience, to enjoy like a game actually. But the entities that we allowed them to be in this planet, we basically because humans, unfortunately, I don't say souls, humans are stupid. Basically, they call that created religions. We created idols. We created magic. We created every sort that is external. Not we've never focused in ourselves that every single person has this power because we are consciousness. But instead, to enrich ourselves, we deliver our power. How you say this word, delegate, how everything we have to all this lower energy, and we feed them, okay, to eat us. It's stupid. This is the matrix. Do you understand, guys? So
you become a victim and you start living in that
it's like a
mentality.
masochist, like, I beat me up. This is when people, they understand that you don't need to be part of hate and the fight people. It's a war. Now, if we choose, we decide. Obviously, I know feel sorry for the Ukrainians. I am with you completely. I'm with the Ukrainian people. I really want this war ends. I want Ukraine will be respected. All the lands to come back because it's a sovereign country. Okay, what
Right.
Putin did, because it's Putin war, is not a Russian war. Because if it was a real
Yeah, it's
war,
his.
the Russian people, they are very proud people, like Ukrainians, that they fight until the end. But these people says this is not even my war, because this is
Yeah, they're starting to understand it in large numbers,
exactly.
and it makes me happy that they finally getting it, because those who come to Ukraine, they say it's the opposite. They are lovely people. They helped us out. They took our wounded people. They healed them. They took them to hospitals. And one was saying, like, Ukrainian soldiers, when I was surrendering, I told them there was my wounded friend, and the two Ukrainians were dragging this one friend, and our own Russian tanks were trying to shoot them. They're trying to save his wounded Russian friend, and his own Russian shooting. So but it just shows you, and they understand. See how many people are starting to understand, but unfortunately they have a program running. I watch a lot of interviews with Russians, either captured or they surrendered themselves. They always start the interview, I'm just a small person, I cannot make much difference. Bingo, it's a big program. I always tell my kids, one person makes huge difference. One person can lead a huge group behind, and they can start thinking on their own terms. These people, if they have a smart somebody who tells them, the truth,
Look
and they
what's happening
logically
in
understand it is truth.
well, look what's happening in Iran, in Iran, that
Mm,
this with the girl that was killed by this correct police, whatever they call,
right.
where they still the woman is suppressed. What is even the men they are saying enough is enough now, okay? And every
Yeah.
part of the world you see revolutions because unfortunately the only way to fight for your to be free is
Mm,
sometimes we have to do these revolutions and
right.
because you can't go with the flowers every time you go to make some they kill you they beating you up okay this time.
Because if you don't show strength, if you
Hmm.
don't show strength, actually psychologically, I was also watching the interviews, people who showed strength when they're captured, they would not be beaten up. They would not be tortured. Only those who were like, oh, please don't do it to me, and like react, they would. There's certain trigger points where, those artificial soul people or zombified people are. As a matter of fact, speaking of zombies, I wanted to mention they found lots of substance that the those newly mobilized people who don't know how to fight get before the fight. So they become like Z is for zombies 100% now. I
Yeah,
know because I've seen it too many times. Even Russians say themselves that they get some, injection with some liquid and makes them like, I don't care if I die or not. They're just kind of like, it's like the opiate, and then how do you call it? It's
like
kind of like in
drugs.
those Olympic games that they,
Yeah,
were
uh,
caught to use. Russians, by the way, were caught.
doping, the
Yeah,
doping,
like doping. Like they run with the
doped.
like
Yeah.
eyes like this, like and keep going.
But I saw an interview yesterday about these poor guys, Russian guys, that they went to this trench. They says, this is just. They says this is just is stupid. Says I have to buy my own uniform. I don't have
Yes,
any food supply.
they're
They
right.
don't give us a
Corruption.
gun. They don't give us a gun. I says,
They
what are we
stolen
supposed to do?
everything.
They says we don't have even a training.
The whole
I
country
mean,
stolen.
why we are here? I mean,
Yeah.
this is, and they feel stupid. This is doesn't make any
And then you
sense.
die after you spend tons of money. Plus, a lot of them sitting in Ukrainian woods calling hotline of Ukraine, like, can we surrender? We don't have food, we don't have water. They just left us
It's
here.
like that they want human shields of flesh that to show
Yeah,
you see I got the
that's why they
soldiers. It's
call
not
themselves
true.
meat.
It's not true we are poor. It's not true that we don't have any army. It's like in because they taking time before
Mm,
to the 3210. After there will be
yeah.
trust me, there will be like a sort of compromise, Oksana. I feel that probably there will be even some massive attacks, but I think they know already when this world war, sorry, will be end. They know already. Is everything in the agenda?
I think everything is going to be returned to Ukraine, all the territories. That's what I feel. But see, the thing is, every time I close my eyes, I don't see the physical level anymore. Like I see it with my eyes open. It's all groups of aliens fighting for different territories on this little disk we call Earth. And on this little disk we call Earth, they have invisible fences that belong to different types of alien groups. And they have something on their territories they need for energy, not only people and souls, but there's also crystals. There's also, all kinds of reptilian species underground that are also come from different stars and galaxies who also drain our energy from underneath. So it's like it's like we are sandwiched in between species who use us for energy, period. And also, unfortunately, use their regional Earths for different, like gold and all this stuff. They need those rocks. They need those stones and crystals because they give them energy. They act like software that they use to carry information, to absorb information, to give them information for creating other worlds. Otherwise, they cannot create. They are AI themselves. So
Okay.
that's what it is. Okay, well, we can stop recording if you want. I think we went a
So,
little.
what we come back to say, guys, please follow the link in the down in
Of
the
this movie. It's only
and
10 minutes, but it'll make you think. They don't say much, but I told you everything they said
it is
anyway.
very interesting to watch, and yes, see with not how the little movie is shown to you. This is what you have your own perception. So please write down the comments what you makes you feel. If every room is a temptation or is an entity that is just seducing you to carry on with the matrix. It
And
is not
how it
that
is connected
me,
to the movie.
Oksana. I want to specify that what we say is not the truth, is what we perceive. Okay,
Right,
because
our
we are.
perception.
So we don't want to convince you that what we say is right or wrong. So everybody has entitled to have to use even their own consciousness. So sometimes we receive some critics, some weirdos, we can call them, which is not the fact that we receive the critics, that is the fact that they come in just to disrupt and to just say no, you are crazy, you are this, you do that. Then guys, sorry, but yes, you can give your perception if you believe or not, doesn't matter, but please uh, be open mind, don't criticize. If you're interested, they have plenty of YouTubers with the or truthers, we want to call. So thank you so much.
If you know all the trolls from those Chinese and Russian troll
Oh yeah.
factories and American, and I mean every country I believe has a
Yeah,
troll
even in
factory
Italy,
will be
there are
writing
people,
under our video.
they think they know everything. They laughing. They says, they're taking the piece to the aliens, to the people but they believe they believe what they believe is good.
It
Okay, this
makes
is
me
what is
laugh though,
right.
the
It's
comments though.
again David and Impera. This is to put against. No, what I see is the right one. Oh, what you see, oh, what you smoke. This is what you want to believe. Doesn't matter.
It's an
I mean,
AI phrase they
why
always
it
use.
piss you off? Why you think is crap what I see and what you see is right? I can say as well what you smoke, darling. But is about
It's
I'm not
about getting
against.
you to respond, Ephesians. That's why
Exactly.
I always ignore
Yeah, I get
just
it.
anything. Like I just write my comments under
It's
some
just
videos and I don't
open your
respond even.
mind, open your perception, okay?
Yeah.
Because we are always in the same because everything is the same. Without each other, we are nothing, and nothing means everything. So it's quite
Yes.
a bit too
Good
much to
ending.
think.
Good ending.
Okay, now guys, we're going to what the program is. Next video is about next conversation with Elon Musk, which just boarded Twitter. Pew, 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 pew.
Okay, peace out.
And yes, stay connected with us. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.